As spiritualists, as devotees, one of the very important requisite or requirement for advancement in Krishna consciousness is control the mind, control our senses. And even in the Gita, Krishna many places talks about the senses, the mind. Many verses where it says that mind, if it is controlled, it's a best friend. The same mind, if it is controlled, is a worst enemy. Even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a person's intelligence. Krishna in the Gita talks about hierarchy of selves. Here Prabhupada in the Purport is mentioning about the root cause of material existence. So we have the senses, and in that wonderful example which our scriptures give, chariot driven by 5 horses. The 5 horses are compared to the senses. The reins by which the horses are being directed are compared to the mind. The chariot driver is compared to the intelligence. And the passenger sitting in the chariot is the soul. So we have the senses, we have the mind, we have intelligence, and we have the soul. So this is the order. In regular scheme of things, these days we don't see chariot, we don't see carriages driven by horses. But otherwise, even if we take example of a taxi, the passenger gives direction to the driver controls the steering, steers the wheel, and then the wheels are steered and the car moves in the direction in which the passenger wants to move. So the flow of command is from passenger to driver to the wheel to the, and finally the vehicle moves in the direction of where the passenger wants to go. So Krishna in the Gita says the higher self should control the lower selves. In other words, the senses should be controlled by the mind should be controlled by the intelligence should be controlled by the soul. This is the regular, right, proper functioning of the vehicle. Or for that matter, if we compare to a factory or corporate office or let's say a company, the workers should be managed and supervised by the supervisor, who have to in turn be managed by the managers, who in turn have to be directed by the CEO. The CEO has some vision, has some strategy. To implement it, there is managers. The managers direct the supervisors, and supervisor directs the worker. But in present time, unfortunately, if you see, including all of us in the past, by Prabhupada's mercy, we are trying to come out of this blunder. World over, including most scholarly people, most intelligent people, most educated people, they're not able to figure out that how in our lives, rather than this regular scheme of things, the opposite is happening. Even big educated people, stalwarts from Ivy League colleges, Harvard, MIT, even they are prey to this thing. Senses are controlling the mind is controlling the intelligence, and the soul is bewildered. lost, no bearings. That's why Prabhupada even quotes so-called religious scholars. He was talking about Professor Kotasvi. Swamiji, after this body after the death, there is no more life. They don't even have understanding of soul. Forget about, see, we all understand. You see, we all understand. Still there is knowing-doing gap. Think of a person, a scenario, they don't even know. Don't even know that the senses have to be controlled by the mind has to be controlled by intelligence has to be directed by soul, spiritual intelligence. Don't even know, forget about controlling. So in the state it's called hopeless defeat. You see, we all know, but we also many times fail. And then there is a guilt feeling. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have eaten this. I shouldn't have spoken like this. I shouldn't have, guilt feeling, knowing-doing gap. So the first stage is hopeless defeat. And then as we progress, struggle and defeat. There is a struggle in controlling the senses, controlling the mind, but at many a times we get defeated. Māyā defeats. The senses overpower, the mind overpowers. We all have experience of that. And then if we are progressive, if we are persistent, if we continue on this path with faith, with enthusiasm, with patience, with determination, the defeats will reduce. And what is the next stage? Anyone knows? Struggle and victory. The victory is there most of the time, predominantly, majority of the cases, but there is a struggle. I shouldn't see this, I shouldn't see this, I should not eat this. There is a force, you have to exert force, control. That's part of the process. Struggle and victory. And the final stage is effortless victory. Example is Haridas Thakur, Chintamani, that lady came 2 nights, nobody is there, dead silence. Opportunity is there, but not swayed. Effortless victory. So that is very much possible. Although right now there may be struggle in defeat, there may be struggle in victory, but we should all be confident that if we persist, if we follow this process, we will reach a stage of effortless victory. And the example is in our own lives. Every one of us have learned riding a bicycle. I remember first time when I attempted to ride a bicycle. Because before that, as a child, we all, if you remember, we had tricycle, small. I remember that. Now it's there, not there, we don't know. So it has 2 wheels in the back, 1 in this thing. You cannot fall. So first time when this idea dawned that you have to be on a bicycle, 2 wheels, where is the third one? It will either fall this or there. So this whole idea that you can ride on, although we are seeing people, but mind is not accepting it is possible. And it actually happened. Many times we have tried and we have fallen. I have badly fallen. In the Nali. Went inside white, came out black. It was big struggle. Trying to balance, then, you have to see in the front also, you have to balance also, you have to put your effort in this thing. But then, once you learn it, it's effortless. You can be riding on a bicycle, you can be talking to someone, you can be fully thinking of something else, and all the balancing will happen. Same thing, first time when I learned swimming. how can we be afloat? Water means if you go in, you have to go in. And when you are in water, you invariably go in, and then water goes in. But a time comes, you don't have to think anything. Just moment you go into water, you start floating, you start swimming. And when you learn swimming, you see there's a big struggle, some of you who know swimming, because when the mouth goes in, you should not be breathing. And when it comes out, you breathe. Goes in, you don't breathe. Comes out, you breathe. When you're learning swimming, what happens? How many of you have experienced? When the mouth goes in, you breathe. Anyway, without getting into details, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But a time comes, it's effortless victory. This is going to happen with each one of us if we follow this process of sense control and mind control. A lot depends on our sincerity also. Prabhupada in one place says, if the wood is wet, it takes time for it to burn. But moment it comes close to fire, it will get dried. But if you again put water on it, if you again dip that wood in water, then it can go on. This process can be endless. But if we are determined, if we want to control the mind and senses, and we are chanting, and we are following the process, and we are having Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu, very soon, this whole thing will happen. Effortless victory will happen. Prabhupada, when he went to America, he was not struggling. Sense objects all around. You go to the park, man and woman is kissing. Prabhupada even says, at times you see them lying naked. There was no struggle. Effortless victory, because you have crossed that thing. So you have the senses, you have the mind, you have intelligence, and then you have the soul. So hierarchy of self means who should control whom? Hierarchy. CEO should control managers, managers to supervisors, and then to the workers. So Krishna also says the higher self should control the lower selves. But right now the situation is the lower selves are controlling the higher selves. Now, very important lecture, Madhuprantu explains a very important element in sense control. Generally, we are trying to control at the mind level or the sense level. I should not be eating this. I should not be eating this. I should not be doing this. Or at the intelligence level, by intellectual memorizing some shlokas and this and that, some instructions. But many a times we have seen that fails. Moment, sense object, and first thing you will forget the instruction. And when all the damage has happened, then you will remember, yes, there was one instruction like this. So even jnana has limitation. Jnana, transcendental knowledge, is powerful, sword of knowledge, but it also has limitation. Because Krishna says, Smriti Vibhrama Buddhi Nasho. There are Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava. There are so many other forces in play. So very fundamental thing, even higher than intelligence, is, anyone knows what is that? Higher than intelligence is the ego. Generally, we have an understanding of the word ego. People say you should not be very egoistic. That's a very different usage of the word egoistic. What they mean is, don't be proud, don't be too much of arrogant. Ego means what you think you are. What is your identity? And broadly speaking, just like in a switch on or off, 0 or 1, ego can be, broadly speaking, only two types. Only two types, broadly speaking. What are the two types of ego? False ego is, I am the body, I am the enjoyer. And what is the real ego? I am spirit soul, I am servant of Krishna. Only two possible. Rest all is permutation and combination of these two fundamental egos. I am the body can be further, I am Indian, I am this, I am that, I am well-wisher, I am philanthropist, I am a politician, I am father of the nation. Egos can have many innumerable permutation combination, but broadly speaking, two categories. Just like broadly speaking, genders, man and woman. Broadly speaking. Fat woman, ugly woman, good woman, so many other permutation is possible. Indian men, American men, but broadly speaking, man and woman. We cannot control the senses if the fundamental ego is, I am the body and I am the enjoyer. So, if we have to control the mind and senses, the lasting change can only happen if the change happens at the ego level. That's why here in the Purport it said that there's a nice word which says that sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty, sum and substance of the sense enjoyment, it all starts from there. The sum and substance of conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his Krishna bhuliya jiva bhagavancha kare. Moment you forget Krishna, I am servant of Krishna, the next derivative, next consequential thinking, feeling and willing will be, I should enjoy my sense. If I am not servant of Krishna, who am I? I am enjoyer. As soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment which is called māyā. That is the cause of material existence. You see, in great devotees, in pure devotees, acharyas, the shift has happened at that fundamental level. Everything is seen in connection with Krishna. Everything is seen as property of Krishna. Everything is seen as meant for pleasure of Krishna. Every action is for pleasing Krishna. So we have examples of, just like you take example of Haridas Thakur, that fundamental shift has happened at that level. The sense object is right there. Opportunity is ripe. There is no, the perception is completely different. This shift is what scriptures are talking about. Don't go to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam directly, because shift has not happened. We'll see, we are in bodily concept, we see Radha Krishna, we see gopis, we see boy and girls, we see them as ordinary boy and girls dealing, as lusty this thing. That's why Prabhupada warned. First 9 cantos is to shift that. Who are you? Who is Krishna? What is this ego? What is your constitutional position? And once that shift happens, you completely perceive that activity differently. So one is, ego shift can happen by jnana. Again, it's not easy. How many of us, we are not the body, we are spirit soul. Like parrot, we can, in middle of night, somebody wakes up, you can say, I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. But realization, putting that into practice, that needs spiritual strength, bala. And that bala, that strength, that spiritual strength comes from Krishna, from holy name, from that morning sadhana. That's why it says, Nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. every day, the false ego will manifest. When we go out, when we interact with people, every interaction has an opportunity, if we are not careful, that false ego to blossom. Just like when we go out, not go out, even otherwise, we will perspire, there will be dirt around, we may sit in some chair, already there's dirt there, we'll get dirty. And how we take bath every day, we get cleansed. Likewise, if we don't get cleansed on a daily basis, if we don't have that real ego pumped in, heard daily, repeatedly, this false ego will manifest. It will start becoming stronger, bigger, strong. And then the natural consequence of false ego is I am the body, I am the enjoyer. And then sense enjoyment, all that will fall. Then jnana will not work. No matter how many years you have been in Krishna, it will not work. Because fundamental shift has happened. I am the enjoyer. Sometimes it can happen even after many years. Some experience in the organization, organization will not take care. We have to take care of ourselves. Future may all protection, insecurity feeling. Again, back to same switch, false ego. I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I am the protector, I am the well-wisher. That's why the spiritual life, I never understood this thing. Never, many years. Prabhupada says it's like walking on a razor's edge. Why it's called razor's edge? Because little bit inattention, these days razors have improved. You don't see blood so much. But earlier they had that ustra, Little bit you turn, wrong direction, wrong angle, it cuts. So it's why it's called razor's edge. Little bit Krishna bhuliya bhagavancha kare nikatastha māyā tare jhapatiya dhare. Catch. It can happen just after walking out of bhagavatam class. It can happen immediately after walking out. So spiritual life means you have to be careful. It can happen any time, any moment. And a devotee should be humble. In fact, the feeling should come, the dependence on Krishna should come. Krishna, I know. You should never have faith that now I am great, I have knowledge, so many years, I have read Bhagavatam 3 times. You should know, Krishna, I am insignificant, I am small, I am fallible. It is your divine energy. Today, if I am sitting here, it is your causeless mercy. It is not my strength. It is not my sense control. It is not my intelligence. It is not that I have understood. No. So, utter dependence on Krishna. Krishna, Mare Krishna Rakhe ke, Rakhe Krishna Mare. Today, if I am saved, it's your mercy. So long as your mercy is there, I am safe. Otherwise, there is no hope for me. This should be the internal consciousness. Not that we are fearing Maya, not that we are always, always in a panic situation. Oh, what if I fall down? What if I fall? No, there's no panic. Panic should be, I should not forget Krishna. I should not again jump to that false ego, this thing, I can control. Now I have understood. So if this is the consciousness, then spiritual life is easy. Then if faith is there, and Krishna is very, very merciful. He will first not give us untimely test. And even if, assuming we make some mistake, He is very tolerant, He is very patient, He is very merciful, He is very compassionate. He will give us the right realizations, right learnings. If we are sincere, we get up and we learn from our mistakes and walk. Soon, just like I said, hopeless defeat, struggle and defeat. struggle and victory, effortless victory. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked by a lady reporter. She was hearing Prabhupada talk to some guests. She was also there. And she was some kind of an antagonist. Didn't have faith in what Prabhupada was saying. Didn't have faith in God. She was a little envious also. Was known as a spiritual leader. So this lady had done some bit of study of how the ISKCON is spreading and how so many youngsters have joined. So this lady in between cut Prabhupada when Prabhupada was saying, but tell me one thing, Swamiji, why do you have so many young people here? Only young people in this movement. Many people ask this question, why young people only? So Prabhupada immediately cut her and says, why do you have young people in the universities? So that lady immediately said, because university means that's the age for education, to get educated. So Prabhupada replied, we have young people because this is the age for spiritual education, for Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada, why so many youngsters, so many young people got attracted? Because Prabhupada did not present Krishna consciousness as some kind of a sentimental thing, some religious thing. We are getting educated. It's a science of Krishna consciousness, understanding what is this material nature, what is Krishna, what is our knowledge. Books are there, education, just like in schools and universities you have classes, this class is happening. We are making notes. There's so much to learn, so much to know, so much to get educated. This is real education. Prabhupada talks about Shilpa Vidya. That is all how to code, how you program some machine. That is one form of skill, just like you know how to, carpenter know how to connect the woods and make something. Likewise, on a subtle level, you know how to connect some code words and program a machine or something. This is all royal version of Shilpa Vidya. But real Vidya is this. Another time people ask, why only rich people? You have all facilities for rich people. Yesterday also when we were hearing Prabhupada's lecture, this is commonly asked, why young people and why only rich people? So Prabhupada said, this very fundamental definition of who is rich, who is poor. So Prabhupada explained, one who does not have Krishna consciousness, he is poor. Because we have idea, rich means a person who is having a lot of money, bungalow, he has cars, means he is comfortably situated. Prabhupada in one more place says, a rich man is suffering in rich conditions, a poor man is suffering in poor conditions. Both are suffering. What is that suffering? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. One is experiencing Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi in rich conditions, rich circumstances, opulent circumstances. And another person is experiencing Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi in poor conditions. There was one devotee from US. He had come to India, so I was speaking to him. He used to preach there in New Jersey and used to meet many Americans. So I was curious. I said, are people open for donations? What kind of people are they? Are they warm? Do they easily give appointments? Are they willing to listen? What is their mentality? What is their mindset? How is it different from India? So I was inquiring. So then asked him, in America, there is so much of prosperity. Actually, you can see the roads are big, greenery all around. You can see prosperity. So I said, you will be meeting a lot of rich people, so they must be happy. What is your experience? So he said, Prabhu, people have money, but deep within and outside also, they have put up a show. That's how the society is configured. You cannot really, if you ask anybody, how are you? You know what default answer comes? I am fine, how are you? This answer has become so default. You ask a person who is on a bed on a stretcher with one leg hanging, fractured, with this thing. You go and you ask that person, how are you? First thing he'll say, I am fine. Then he will realize, no, I am not fine. Hand. Because that's a default answer. Habitual response. Habitual thinking, feeling and willing. So he says, the default what people have, that face what comes is they are happy, they are this thing. But deep within there is a vacuum in their lives. Relationships are not there. Average man would have married 2 times or 3 times. Average woman would have married 2 or 3 times. Son of first wife is gone somewhere else. Son of second wife is staying with the stepmother of second wife. All kind of permutation, combination. All relationships messed up. So people insecure. Then he was talking about very interesting fact he told me. It really shook me. He said, I know a husband and wife, Americans, who are, both are doctors. And he explained he says, I'm in touch with them. This lady, who's a doctor, is having very, very serious sleeping problem for 6 years. She's not getting sleep in the night. Now, being a doctor, they understand medical science, they have access to the latest medicines, the latest know-how. They have tried everything. Medicines have stopped working. 2 pills, 3 pills, sleep is not coming. And you know, if a person does not get sleep for 2 nights, 3 nights, what happens? So then, this lady, they invested in some very advanced sleeping pod. Here also we struggle on that sound comes, sleep gets disturbed. So there are sleeping pods with AI. You can search on the net. Because technology is so advanced, these AI sleeping pods are so advanced, it can control the temperature automatically according to your body temperature, according to your stage of sleep. Sometimes we say suddenly there is sound. Absolute control of sound, absolute control of temperature, and that also dynamic based on your body's demand. Absolute control of sound. Now, all the controls what you require for good sleep. So they purchased a sleeping pod which is the latest technology with AI and all that, with sensors, and it can sense everything. Not getting sleep in that. And it's been 6 years. Same thing which I was talking about. Rich are suffering in rich conditions, poor are suffering in poor conditions. Poor man is suffering on a bistara. A rich man is suffering on an AI pod with triple. Both are not getting sleep. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. This material nature. So, a devotee should not have faith in his abilities, in his this thing. He should have faith in Krishna. Rich conditions come, great, Krishna, thank you. Poor condition come, Krishna, thank you. In either conditions, we should be interested in doing the main thing. What is the main thing? To work on our purification at the ego level. I am servant of Krishna. And The biggest purification at the ego level will happen when Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, hearing. And Prabhupada's books, sometimes we say the same thing is repeated again and again, again and again, again and again. I am part and parcel of Krishna, not the enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer. Actually, one person told me this. I gave him a book, and generally people want newer concepts, newer ideas. Prabhupada book, if you read from that perspective, from intellectual perspective, from the perspective of you can get new ideas, new knowledge, it can be boring. Because there is some repetition. In fact, my father told me this. Same thing. Krishna consciousness, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Same 20 sentences. ऊपर नीचे करके वही चीज बार बार. But Prabhupada, the best part is he's not beating around the bush, he's telling the most important, the most fundamental, the most profound thing again and again. Reinforcing that thing. You're not the enjoyer, rascal, you're a fool. Krishna is the enjoyer. You're part and parcel of Krishna. And if that shift happens, that change happens at a very fundamental level, sense control, mind control, all that will happen automatically. We don't have, that's why it's called effortless victory. Unfortunately, that switch has not happened. We are deep rooted. I am the body, I am the enjoyer, I am Indian, I am this thing, I am man. And because of that fundamental shift has not happened, we are struggling with sense control and mind control. So, if we take shelter of Prabhupada, follow his instructions, follow the program, the path, what he has given, the sadhana, what he has given diligently, then we'll also experience this effortless victory. We'll also experience this shift. And this shift can happen like we hear a nice lecture, it can happen for 2 hours, it can happen. But again it goes back. Again it goes back. Again we have to shift. Again it goes back. So this going back will happen for a while, just like a child who is learning to walk. He takes 2 steps, he falls. Again he takes 2 steps, he falls. But a time will come when he'll have strength to walk without falling. Right now our stage is that of a child. But we should have faith that time will come and I'll not fall. For that, whatever Prabhupada is asking us to do, we should be doing it. Then we'll be walking safely. Anyone has any question, anything like to ask based on what we discussed today?